Welcome to another episode. The topic I kind of wanted to bring up today, I mean, it's just on everybody's mind is really just like Dawntrail as an expansion, right? And your feedback on like how it's been. And I know that is a very broad question, but what sort of things come to mind when you think of Dawntrail and how it's been?
Well, I think it's actually been a very good expansion. It's nice not to be the actual face of it for once, because
Mm,
really, this expansion is not about us. It's about Buck Lamut.
yeah, right. And the world building aspect of it, right? Because this is supposed to be the start of something new. So
Yeah,
I
I
feel like,
thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's been a good launch, both in terms of the story's been pretty good.
mm,
Um, the instance content, the dungeons and the trials, I've all enjoyed those. Um, and the graphics update is I think it's pretty impressive. So
oh
I'm
right,
I'm pretty happy.
so huge with the graphics. Like, just it took me a bit, but like after a while of staring at it, you realize that you're staring at something that looks way more detailed, and you don't notice until you actually like zoom in more, right? Like that's when you get to see all that hard work, and I feel like it's really good that they took the time to do that. Um, and no, not a lot in terms of queue times, right? Like
No,
I
queues
want
were
to
actually
say,
great.
yeah, early access was probably like the only time where I might have seen things in the thousands.
But even then, I think Panda and I logged in, I want to say maybe 7, 8 minutes apart, and it was like 2,000, and I only think I waited maybe about a good, I want to say 15 minutes to even get in.
Yeah, it's about that long.
15? Really?
15, 1-5.
Yep.
Wow. For
Yeah.
that many people.
Yep, it was like 2,600. And I'm like, I'm going to be here a while. Went and made coffee, and I was already at like 400.
And then we
Dude.
had a server crash, and the same thing happened. It was like the second day, and there
Mm.
was this flood, and it was about 2,000 something people, and it took about 15 minutes to get in. But
So
other
like,
than that, I
wow,
wait
okay.
30 seconds max, if even that.
Right. And this was like a whole server or just like you guys disconnected from?
The whole server disconnected, I believe,
I think it
because,
Huh.
was all of Crystal actually.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
it wasn't
Damn.
all in like the same burst. Like, Panda got it like 5 minutes after me.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Because I went first, came back in, I was like 600, so it still took me like a good 7 minutes. Then he got kicked out like 2 or 3 minutes after me.
Jeez. But yeah, to swing back and I mean, we've seen really bad launches before where to the point where like even when I would take time off, like I'd even consider starting my time off the next day because the actual day would have been like a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah, they did a really good job this time around. But you know, with all of that, like you guys, I mean, we're all of us were part of like early release, had different experiences, but I think both of you were pretty much able to kind of run side by side on this when you guys were going.
I was a bit ahead there for a while, but due to work, I was pushed back a bit. But
Mm,
after Day Panda caught up, and yeah, we were pretty much side by side right after that.
yep.
gotcha. So when did you guys end up finishing like the MSQ overall, like both of you confirmed?
Uh, it,
Sunday, I think.
Damn.
about Sunday. We both completed it Sunday.
Okay, so that was came out on was it Thursday or
Friday,
Friday?
Friday
Friday.
morning.
Okay, so Friday morning, 6:28. You guys are in the game at like 5 or something.
Yep.
3 a.m. for
And
me.
so from Friday to no sleep, either of you?
No,
Nope,
I did. I slept.
yeah, I
Okay.
got about 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So one actual sleep. But still though, wait a minute. That's like Friday, Saturday and finishing Sunday.
Yeah.
So not a lot of sleep, but still some. Okay.
It's enough.
Yeah, it was enough.
Enough to just get right back to it. Like, and this isn't, mind you, this isn't like skipping cutscenes. This is moving with the flow of it, reading,
Mhm.
Yep,
enjoying,
that's right.
and
That's correct.
yeah. My
I did not,
gosh.
however, do any of the side quests yet.
No, yeah,
Right?
that's the thing. Skipped all of that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people end up, wanting to play the game, whether, I saw like some of our other friends who wanted to clear all of those side quests along with the main story. I've never done that personally, but it's interesting for sure. And then um I'm even lazy about like Aether currents and stuff normally in past expansions. Like I'd focus on the story and come back afterward, but it
That's
almost, yeah, it was.
that's the weird thing. So I'm not usually one, especially in World of Warcraft. I am not one to go get that stuff. Never
Hmm.
have. But fortunately, this expansion, I just kind of gave it the F it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So every zone I had my flying, just because I like gathering, I like crafting. I didn't want to
Hmm.
not have it because I already know how much of a pain in the butt it was.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, from what I've noticed, it just seems like they've really gotten it down to just being fairly convenient for you to get them or find them as you move along and discover new areas. Like once you get into a new place with a main crystal of some sort or an aetheryte, like it's not off that far. Or if it is, it's like they just kind of want you to at least see the rest of the region or the map that was built. Um, and then, your quest ones are, it seemed like there were less and they were at hubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Yeah,
don't know. Oh, go ahead, Panda.
things were well placed. I think, with the exception of one ether current that I had a very long run back to get, they were all very easy to get.
Yeah,
So I
right.
don't
And
think
then,
there's a lot of reason to skip them anymore.
No.
mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely appreciate that because I don't I don't think I really paid too much like, because it's always MSQ. I never really paid too much attention to um where they might have been located in previous expansions. I knew that there were a lot more, at least in terms of the quest ones, and that they also, you know, in retrospect, took some of the older expansions and made it a shorter requirement. Um, Speaking of shorter requirements, even the shared fates, right? Like we don't have to do 60 anymore, but they did move the numbers around a little bit. I think somebody told me that it was like overall it was 10 less than it was before. Um, so,
I appreciate that 10 less though.
yeah,
Honestly.
gosh, dude, like it looked like such a grind before, like Shadowbringers Endwalker, where you see that big number once you hit rank 2 and into 3, and you're just kind of like, do I really want to do this? Um, yeah, it can feel kind of draining. Um, but even with like experience too, right? Like leveling experience and being able to hit 100 fairly quickly. It just seems like everything is like chock full of experience that, I'm not feeling like it's just scarce and it feels like less of a grind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just if you do the regular set of roulettes, I mean, I took my sage from 90 to 93 uh, just last night, and it was just the set of roulettes. I didn't have to do anything else.
Jeez,
It
right?
seems easy enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were saying, Craig?
Like, I leveled Dark Knight within a day. Like 2 days of getting
What?
Dark Knight started after I was done Warrior.
In a day?
He's
It
dedicated.
Yeah, I was very dedicated to get that Dark Knight up, but it didn't. It honestly was just fate grinding and the roulettes.
Okay. Jeez, man. That
It
is some
doesn't.
dedication.
It does not take long if you're
No,
willing to do it.
right? You just put a little more elbow grease into it, like you got it. But that and you guys have been saying with the changes for homes and everything, right? I think we noticed that they dropped the cost more than 50% for each piece.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that gear's a lot cheaper now. It's a lot easier to
yeah,
get.
yeah. So like, who knows, man? They talk like you guys were saying before, like in a previous conversation, like it is a vacation expansion, it is a vacation sort of feel to it. So maybe they took that in other ways and implemented them just to give us an easier time. Because everybody like for the most part might have an alt or two or something, and they might want to do something on it. So that saves a lot of time. Um, but yeah, I I was telling Crack before that I started one of the, I guess, the expert level level 100 dungeons. After like the first one you might see in the MSQ.
Yep.
Um,
He got the
and
easier of the three, not
yeah,
the MSQ one.
yeah. So that was an experience for sure. I know I've heard you guys in the past talk about it and maybe you can share here but what do you guys think of the new quote unquote expert dungeons in Dawntrail? Like how do you fare in them and stuff?
I'm thoroughly enjoying them, except for the first boss, one of them, which I absolutely hate.
Yep.
Um, but otherwise, yeah, no, I think they're really good. They did a good job with those extra dungeons. The level of difficulty has increased.
I will
Yeah.
definitely say healer is very much required for those.
Yeah, right? There is no healer strike here on those.
I run in. I could do it with Dark Knight. I could do it with Warrior. Both of them feel about the same from when I'm running, but I know for both of them, even if I get blood winning up for Warrior, I still need that healer to top me up, or I'm going to be
Man.
SOL.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and when you say Panda, when you say that you hate the first one or hate the first boss in one of them, like, is this I hate you and I'd rather you not be here, or is this like I hate you, I'm gonna conquer this, like let's go? Like, does it motivate you, or what does it make you feel with that particular boss?
I'm frustrated by my inability to do the mechanic correctly,
I
and
see.
I'm working on fixing that. That is my
Definitely, right.
goal.
It is
Project.
a hard mechanic. They throw way too much at you
It's
too fast.
it's one of those things that just needs like one fewer thing moving at you, and it would be fine.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah. Almost reminds me of like Aloe when we first looked at the Savage one or whatever.
That's right.
Yes.
It's just like, what? I don't compute 404 error. Oh.
I will say it's weird as a tank seeing, like you'll get, and it's only mostly Pictomancer who's doing it, but you can get it from other classes if they know well enough. But like those Pictos will just burst things right off of you if you aren't throwing your tomahawks or something. Like it's insane how hard they are actually hitting.
Yeah, right?
Like
that's pretty
when
good
Panda
for
will switch to
something.
Picto, when Panda will
Mhm.
switch to Picto, it. I just have to watch because I know he's gonna pull something off, and then all I hear is, "Crack, I'm tanking." And I'm like, which one?
All of them.
I've had some rough experiences tanking ads as Picto.
And
I
it's
think that's a
due to
common,
that. Yeah.
common feeling.
It's due to that hammer.
It's
My
the hammer.
gosh.
Hammer time. Yep.
Yeah,
It's so good though, just being able to
I
hit
love
that
it,
thing.
but
Oh
it's
my
crazy.
god. Yeah.
They're going to end up nerfing it.
They're gonna have to.
Yeah, I mean to make it more of a playable experience and deal with the enmity. So
Yeah. Well, speaking of enmity, I kind of wonder if they did it. Like Panda and I have discussed this before, but I wonder if they did it on purpose. Because in Endwalker, you didn't have to really think about anything. You hit the group once, and they would stay on you. But now it's like you actually have to pay attention to what you're doing, or you're going to lose the target.
Yep.
It
gives
makes
you
me
more of
wonder.
an urgency. It feels.
Yes, I wonder if they're trying to make it a bit more of, hey, tanking shouldn't just be you sit there and tank it. Pay a bit more attention.
Yeah, and part of me, like a large part of me, wants to be an advocate for that, right? Like I'd probably agree with that stance, and because before that, it's just what the active mitigation thing, where there's that window for tanks to, hit it at the right time or something, was kind of like the focal point for tanks, I think, for Endwalker, so that you would be rewarded for timing it that way, and so you had something else to potentially look after and look forward to doing as you tank. So yeah, like being able to sort of feel that risk of am I going to die and really actually depending on your healer, like I like that is sort of being bolstered in this iteration of dungeons. And I was I was running it and I was on a 2-pack pull, and I remember I was just like gathering up nice and tight, right? Like, and making sure everybody was accounted for in terms of the mobs. I look back to my party list and my healer's dead. And I just had this like, oh shit moment of like, wait, they were alive like a second ago. I didn't even see that, right? And I'm a pretty observant like tank and overall player, so I was just like, wait a minute, this is like a different feeling, right? And immediately realized after that thought, like, okay, now it's up to me to also make sure that I don't die, right? Obviously they already saw their sprint go off and everything, but like mitigating, like making sure you mitigate but space them out, and then also do whatever you can to survive while they're sprinting their butt back. Like um it got to a point where I saw the healer running from a distance, right? Like sprinting toward us, and I started to kite back to them so that, I don't start dying. And, again, having that sort of that feeling of the stakes are higher. I love that. Like I thoroughly enjoyed, being able to experience that with this group that I was with. And, we started chatting. I was like, are you, like, did I mess up, or what happened back there? Right? And they said that they caught like a random AoE that they got hit by, and they just died. Um, so like having those moments and stuff, I feel like are exciting, right? They actually make me want to try harder, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Yoshi P promised us,
Yes.
and I think
Oh
he did
my
a good
God.
job.
He did
Yeah,
a very good job.
yeah.
I've noticed that I can notice mechanics a lot more ever since we started doing Endwalker extremes.
You notice them more? How do you
I
mean?
notice them more now. Because you think
Okay.
about it, when you just do the regular content, you don't. A lot of people don't actually pay too much attention to like the names, how
Yeah.
things are going to move, what the boss
Mhm.
looks like,
Yeah.
because you're just paying attention to your own rotation a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Now that we've ran stuff like Ruby Conte and Walker, we've done a bit of Zeromas. You
Mhm.
learn that it's a bit more intentional to look at how the bosses are reacting. As beautiful as they look,
Mhm.
you learn just to pay a bit more attention to what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And I think. Go ahead.
I do appreciate the bit more of wording of, hey, this boss creates a barrier to go attacks. This
Oh,
such a thing.
you're talking about like the text that shows up in the middle now.
Yep, that helps
Yeah.
a lot more too. I've noticed, and I think that is a welcome change.
Yeah, definitely.
I wonder if they've added that to Cutter's Crime, because that's the one I think
Oh,
needs it the most.
Mm.
I run
right.
it, and I kind of want to go check it.
Yeah, yeah, because it has all of those sinkholes, and it's like no one really inherently will know if you are a new player when it's time to move. Like, I think the only visual indication before Dawntrail came out, and we'll probably check this later, is that it says like shifting sands above the sinkhole when everything is done. Like that text appears,
Yep.
but it's such a small thing that like what new player or somebody who's just not even like versed in that dungeon, like who's gonna know? And
Yeah,
it's
Very
just like,
true.
yeah,
there's
I
no
agree.
mechanism to teach you about the on the last boss in that dungeon. There's no
Nope.
mechanism to teach you when you're supposed to be in or out, except by
Yeah.
getting electrocuted or paralyzed. Right?
Exactly, right. And it's funny because I was looking at, there were like a couple comments on the first video that we put up and stuff. It said like, I think one of them said mentors and are kind of just something that should probably like they should do away with and stuff. Like it's kind of just like useless and everything to today's standards. I'm paraphrasing, but that was kind of like the impression I got. And I was like, I mean, the guy's not wrong given like the majority of like what we've kind of seen of what just kind of inspired this whole thing, right? To be able to talk about it in the perspective of a mentor. But like, yeah, other than a mentor or someone else, like you really wouldn't know. So I agree. I hope they do or have already changed some of the visuals for older dungeons where you would have no freaking clue. No
Mm-hmm.
freaking clue.
I will say that it's nice to see a bit of change having to go and get the Burger King crown now, though.
Yeah, right. Like, nah, just what was it?
You
They
had to
increased.
complete.
Go ahead.
You had to complete certain extreme trials. So you had to complete Barbaricha. You had to complete Zeromas,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was it. That they just increased that you actually had to go do the extremes for it. I'm not 100% sure what else there is though.
Yeah, it's that was were added to the roulette requirements. The
Yeah.
4 of the Endwalker extremes.
Yeah, right. So, were they extreme level before that from previous expansions where they just keep adding to the list? So, for instance, in order to hit Endwalker, was it extreme Shadowbringers ones in order to get it? God, it's been so
I
long, it's
don't
so hard to.
I don't
Remember?
remember the original list, and it doesn't show it. Because I went back to
Right?
look at this. It doesn't show it when you hover over it. The stuff you've got completed.
Yeah.
It didn't inform me that. I guess we'd have to look it up in the wiki.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll figure it out over time and stuff, but um, either way, I think we can all agree like we've had a pretty good time with what's been released recently with the expansion and got a lot of fun to have. Still waiting for data center travel to come back. My gosh, please.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I appreciate the time, gentlemen, and giving your feedback about how it's been for y'all in this quick talk. But yeah, did you guys have anything else?
Nope, I think I'm good.
No?
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Until next time, y'all. Thanks for listening. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.